What if the person you think you are is only a character you learn to play? Not a lie, exactly, not fake in an obvious way, but constructed, practiced, rehearsed. You know this feeling, even if you have never put words to it, the strange distance between how you appear and how you actually feel. The smile that comes on at the right moments, the calm voice you use when something inside you is burning. Version of you that seems to function, achieve, relate, but never quite arrives in your own life. You tell yourself you are just being responsible, mature, adapted. You do what needs to be done. You say what keeps the peace. You become who the situation requires. And yet, in quiet moments, when there is no one to impress and nowhere to perform, a question rises that you quickly push away. Whose life am I actually living? There is a subtle grief in you, not dramatic enough to demand attention, not sharp enough to stop your routine, but persistent, a dull ache of disconnection, as if you are watching your own life from a short distance, always close, never fully inside it. You sense that something essential has been left behind, and you do not know how to get back to it. The personality you built helped you survive. It helped you belong. It helped you be accepted, praised, and safe. But it is not the whole of who you are. And the longer you confuse that constructed self with your true identity, the more divided you become. This division is the silent source of your exhaustion. From early on, you were taught who to be. Not directly, not always with words, but through reactions. Approval when you were agreeable, discomfort when you were too loud, too emotional, too intense, too different. Love that felt warmer when you were easy and colder when you were difficult. So you learned. You studied faces, you measured tones, you adjusted yourself. You became the reliable one, the strong one, the nice one, the smart one, the funny one, the independent one, the one who does not need much, the one who does not cause trouble. Each role earned you something: safety, belonging, a place in the group. And slowly, without realizing it, you began to trade authenticity for acceptance. At first, it felt like growth. You called it maturity. You called it learning how the world works. You told yourself everyone does this, and you were right. But there was a cost. Every time you swallowed anger to be liked, a piece of your strength went underground. Every time you hid your sadness to avoid being a burden, a part of your emotional depth was buried. Every time you pretended not to want what you truly desired, your vitality dimmed just a little more. You did not lose these parts, you exiled them. And in their place, you built a personality designed to function, a mask that knew how to speak, how to behave, how to fit in. Carl Jung called this the persona, the social self you present to the world so you can operate within it. The persona is not evil, you need it. Without it, you could not navigate society. But trouble begins when you forget it is a role and start believing it's your entire identity. Then you begin to live from the outside in. You make decisions based on how they will be perceived. You shape your opinions to avoid rejection. You pursue goals that look impressive but leave you strangely empty. You maintain relationships where you are appreciated for being convenient, not for being real. And because the persona is built on adaptation, not truth, you slowly lose touch with your own inner signals. You no longer know what you genuinely want, only what is appropriate to feel. You no longer know how you truly feel, only what is appropriate to feel. This is why you can achieve things and still feel hollow, why you can be surrounded by people and still feel alone, why you can look successful on the outside while privately feeling like an imposter in your own life. You are not broken, you are divided. Jung believed that much of human suffering does not come from pain itself, but from fragmentation, from disowning parts of yourself because they did not fit the image you needed to maintain. Those disowned parts do not disappear. They move into the unconscious, into what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is not only darkness in the moral sense, it is everything about you that was rejected, shamed, or deemed unacceptable. Your anger, your ambition, your vulnerability, your neediness, your desire for recognition, your sensitivity, your intensity, your longing to be seen, your capacity for power. If at some point it felt unsafe to express, it likely went into the shadow. And what you push into the shadow does not stay quiet. It influences you from behind the scenes. It leaks out in ways you do not consciously choose. It shapes your reactions, your attractions, your fears, your self-sabotage. You say you do not want conflict, yet resentment builds until it explodes. You say you are not an angry person, yet you feel constant irritation beneath the surface. You say you are over a relationship, yet you are drawn to the same dynamics again and again. These are not random flaws. They are signals of parts of you that were never allowed into consciousness in a healthy way. Until you face your shadow, you are not fully in control of your life. You are being steered by forces within you that you refuse to acknowledge. And it is not only your pain that lives there, it is also your potential. The confidence you admire in others but secretly judge, the boldness you wish you had, the creativity you downplay, the leadership you avoid, the sensuality you suppress, the fierce boundaries you never learned to set. All of this can be in the shadow too. You were not taught how to hold these energies consciously, so you labeled them as dangerous, selfish, or wrong. But when power is rejected, it does not disappear. It turns into passivity, envy, quiet bitterness, or fantasies of a life you never dared to live. This is why your personality feels tight, controlled, polished, and why something in you feels restless, as if a deeper life is pressing against the walls of who you think you are allowed to be. The confrontation begins when you notice a pattern. You are more comfortable being who others need than being who you actually are. You fear that if you express your real anger, you will become cruel. If you express your real desire, you will be judged. If you show your real sadness, you will be rejected. If you claim your real power, you will hurt people or lose love. So you stay contained. You stay manageable. You stay half alive. But the truth you avoid is this: suppressing these parts does not make you good. It makes you fragmented, and fragmentation is what creates unconscious, uncontrolled behavior. A person who knows their anger can choose how to use it. A person who denies their anger is at its mercy. A person who accepts their desire can guide it. A person who shames their desire will be secretly ruled by it. The fear that keeps you small is not protecting the world from you. It is protecting your persona from change. Another fear waits underneath. If you stop being who everyone expects, you might lose belonging. You might disappoint people. You might no longer be the dependable one, the easy one, the strong one. And some relationships may indeed change. Some roles may fall away. But consider the alternative. You can be accepted for a mask and feel invisible. Or you can risk being seen and begin to feel real. There is no path where you are fully alive and universally approved. At some point, you must choose whether your life is built around avoiding disapproval or embodying truth. This is the threshold Jung called individuation, the process of becoming a whole person rather than a well-adapted fragment. Individuation is not about self-improvement in the usual sense. It is not about becoming more impressive. It is about becoming more real. It requires a kind of inner death. the death of the identity that was built entirely around adaptation, the death of the belief that you are only the roles you play. This can feel terrifying because the persona gave you structure. It told you who you were. Without it, you may feel disoriented, uncertain, even unstable for a time. You may question choices you once felt sure about. You may feel emotions you have long suppressed. You may see patterns in your life that are hard to admit. You may outgrow environments that once felt comfortable. This is not failure, it is reorganization. You are not losing yourself. You are losing a version of yourself that was never the whole truth. Real inner work begins when you stop asking, "How can I be better?" and start asking, "What parts of me have I refused to see?" You begin by noticing your projections. The traits in others that trigger you intensely often point to something disowned in yourself. The arrogance that enrages you may reflect your own unlived confidence. The neediness you judge may mirror your own unacknowledged longing for care. The selfishness you condemn may hide your own buried needs and boundaries. This is not about blaming yourself, it is about reclaiming lost territory within your psyche. You also begin to pay attention to your emotional reactions, especially the ones that feel disproportionate. When a small situation evokes strong emotion, there is often an old, buried part of you seeking recognition. Instead of immediately suppressing it or acting it out, you learn to sit with it, to ask what it is protecting, what it needs, what it has been trying to say for years. You start to experiment with small acts of authenticity, not dramatic rebellions, but honest moments. Saying no when you mean no, admitting you are hurt instead of pretending you are fine, expressing an opinion that might not be popular, setting a boundary without over-explaining. These acts may feel uncomfortable, even frightening. Your body may react as if you were doing something dangerous. That is because at one time it was dangerous to be this honest, but you are no longer that powerless version of yourself. And each small act of truth tells your psyche that it is safer now to be whole. You also learn to engage with your inner world more directly. Through reflection, journaling, or quiet contemplation, you allow images, memories, and feelings to surface without immediately judging them. You begin to build a relationship with the parts of you that were once exiled. You might discover that your anger is protecting a deep need for respect, that your sadness is connected to unlived dreams, that your anxiety is tied to a life path that does not fit who you are becoming. This is not a quick or clean process. There will be confusion. There will be moments when you wish you could go back to the simplicity of just playing your role. There will be times when you feel more alone because you are no longer hiding in the same way. But there will also be a growing sense of solidity inside you, a feeling that your actions are coming from a deeper place, that your yes means yes and your no means no, that your emotions, even when intense, make sense in the context of your real experience. As integration begins, you may notice that you are less interested in impressing people and more interested in being honest. Some will find you more difficult, others will find you more compelling. Relationships built on pretense may weaken. Relationships that can hold truth will deepen. You may also find that you have more energy. The effort it took to maintain the mask, to constantly monitor yourself, to suppress reactions, begins to decrease. That energy becomes available for creativity, connection, and purposeful action. You feel more present in your own body, more aware of your limits and your desires, more able to tolerate discomfort without immediately abandoning yourself. You will still struggle. Old patterns will return under stress. You will sometimes fall back into performance. This does not mean you have failed. It means the old structures are deeply ingrained.
Each time you notice and return to authenticity, you strengthen the connection to your true self. Becoming whole does not mean becoming perfect. It means becoming conscious of your contradictions and taking responsibility for them. The personality you built was an intelligent adaptation. It deserves compassion. It carried you through situations where you had to survive. But you are no longer required to live only from that narrow script. There is a larger life waiting on the other side of your fear, a life where your emotions are not enemies, where your power is not something to hide, where your vulnerability is not a weakness, but a bridge to real connection. The question is not whether this deeper self exists. You already feel it pressing against the surface of your life. The question is whether you are willing to let parts of your old identity fall away so that something more honest can emerge. So ask yourself, quietly and without performance, where in your life are you still pretending? Where are you saying yes while your whole body says no? Where are you shrinking so others can remain comfortable? Where are you living a story that no longer fits the person you are becoming? Do not rush to fix everything at once. Just begin by telling yourself the truth. Because the personality you built helped you survive, but it is not the real you. And the longer you delay this confrontation, the longer you postpone the life that could actually feel like your own. If this stirred something in you, do not ignore it. Stay with the discomfort. Reflect on what you recognized about yourself. And if you are willing, share one role you are tired of playing. Putting it into words is the first step in loosening its grip. And when you are ready, continue this journey, because meeting your real self is not the end of the path. It is the beginning of a life that finally belongs to you.